Let me just make sure. Okay. All right. You ready?
Morning, everybody. We're here at Big D's, and we want to welcome Alan from Gladiator Equine. He's going to talk about some great technology. Take it away, Alan.
Thank you, Belinda. Big crowd, so keep it down a little bit. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak to you with regards to our technology, Gladiator Equine. I'll jump right into it as far as what the technology is all about. And this is a PowerPoint presentation, but I don't like to read the PowerPoint. So, and if you have any questions, just jump right in. We just like to, we do the screens up here, and then you can, if you have questions, just let me know. But the technology is, it's based on quantum physics. And a physicist that worked with NASA invented this technology. So it's a little ceramic device that emits far infrared. And it emits far infrared between 3 and 16 microns. So if you look at the electromagnetic spectrum, if anybody's familiar with that, it's all the different wavelengths, like the radio waves, gamma waves, you've heard of all that, X-rays, light, all the different light waves. Well, we're an invisible light wave in the far infrared spectrum. Far infrared is typically from 1 to 3,000 microns, and we are at a very specific range between 3 and 16 microns. And that particular range is easily absorbed by the body and creates vibration on the cellular level when it's emitted into the body. And so when it's emitted into the body and it creates that vibration, it allows your cells to speak to each other. So all your cells in your body are kind of interconnected, either intracellularly and intracellularly. So in other words, if you have an injury to your shoulder or your knee or wherever it might be, your body cells have to talk to each other in order to come to that area and repair. Whenever you use our technology, you put it on and it vibrates at the cellular level, it enhances that cellular signaling. So we have shown in clinical trials that we heal approximately 68% faster. And that's something that we've done that's different than pretty much everything out there, is we've taken the time to do the clinical trials. A lot of technologies are using studies or white papers. We've taken it to another level, and we've done clinical trials and are published in 2 peer-reviewed medical journals. So we have 2 different studies that have been published. And the first one was on wound healing and stem cell migration, which is more what you want to deal with when you're talking about you're healing your horses and getting them back into competition or just getting them healthy again. Next slide. So I think we skipped one. Oh yes, this is who we are. Is anybody a little queasy? Because I have something. I'm going to give you an idea how we got started. And in order to do that, I'm going to show you some pictures. When we were first starting out, we were actually using this technology, believe it or not, in fuel and emissions. So we were actually putting this on engines, and I'm not going to go through. That's a whole other seminar that could take hours. But we were actually putting this on engines, and what we would do is we would save fuel, and we would lower the emissions. So as we were doing this, my business partner's wife developed necrotizing fasciitis. What that is, that's the flesh-eating disease. If you've probably heard it referred to as that. So if you're not queasy, I can show you some of these pictures because it was well documented. She got this when she was in the hospital. So she ended up. This is her hand. This is her in ICU. This is her arm, and you can already tell that's an arm. It was so bad. This is her ankle. I'll go through these quickly, and that's her ankle. So she went through 32 reconstructive surgeries. And she actually had to have skin grafts taken from her back and put on her arm. And they told her at the time that she probably wouldn't have full use of her hand because when that skin grows back, it would be like elephant skin. So it wouldn't be supple that she could use her hands. She had also, these two fingers were black and they were going to amputate them. So Dr. Way, the inventor of this technology, found out about it and contacted us as we're putting it on engines for fuel. And he says, that technology you guys are using has more of a medicinal value. And we just kind of looked at each other and thought, we're putting this on engines, how can this have a medicinal value? But he explained it to us, what I'm about to explain to you. And we use this technology on her, and that's her about 3 to 6 months after. So we saw the regenerative power of this technology up close in person. And we weren't looking to do that. But in our infinite wisdom, we said we're going to just put this aside and come back to it. And then what we'll do is maybe someday we can help people. But we started using it on friends and family, and we took the ceramics and we would literally just put them in duct tape and then give them to people to use. And we kept getting more people coming back and asking for them. We were getting better. We were getting all these good results, healing, different things. So one day we were out in a quarry. I think Bill and I were out in a quarry working on the engines, and we got like 5 calls that day. And we said, we got to start a medical company. So about 8 years ago, we started Gladiator Therapeutics. And then we were doing this with humans, and we were only selling through a doctor network. You can't go online and buy our technology. As I told you earlier, we did the clinical trials. We took the time to go into the clinical trial world and get published in major medical journals because we wanted to be taken seriously as a medical device. So to that end, where was I going with that? We only sell through a doctor network. That's where I was going. We only sell through a doctor network. So one of our doctors out in California had horses, which probably many of the doctors do, but she called us and said, do you have any idea what this technology does for horses? We had no idea. So she was telling us some of her results. So that led us into the equine world. So we've actually started in the fuel world, went to humans, and now we're working with the equines. And we've probably been in this business about 4 years now. I just wanted to kind of give you that story. That's who we are. And we're located in Allentown, Pennsylvania, about 6 hours from here, I guess it would be. We also have a permanent location. Are many of you familiar with Ocala, with the World Equestrian Center? We have a showroom down there, a permanent location year-round there as well. And then we do a booth in Wellington at the WEF, from January to April. We have a booth there as well. So if any of you are there, come visit us. Does anybody have any questions? So we're talking about the injuries. This was one of our first ones that we did. I have a friend who's a vascular surgeon, and he was the head of the wound care unit in my hometown. And I asked him if we could come in and try this on some of the humans in his wound care center. And he said, well, I can't just let you come in the hospital. It doesn't work that way. And we understood that. But he said, I do have one patient. He said, as long as he's willing to do it, he said, I have a wound on him that will not heal. He said, 2 years, we just keep bringing him in and debriding it. We've tried different things, and it wouldn't heal. So he said, if you want to give him a shot and he's willing to do that, he's willing to sign off on it, we'll do it. So he did, and this was a wound that was on his Achilles, and you could literally see his tendon. And it just wouldn't heal for 2 years. 4 months, we did that. So that led him to say, okay, we need to get you in here and start working with some of these people. So he did a clinical trial with a bunch of his patients. I just finished about a year ago. So there'll be another published paper coming out on what happened with all of those. And these were all kind of hard to heal wounds. So these weren't your average wound. These were like diabetic wounds and venous stasis and that type of stuff. So this is how the technology works. The actual ceramics, you can think of them as like little heat transfer systems. They absorb heat, and when they take that heat in, the heat is converted to light photons. It's either a photon or a wave. Once again, we're talking about quantum physics here. This is something you can't see under a microscope or otherwise. So whenever the heat is absorbed by that ceramic, it emits these photons, and they're emitted into the body, which in turn causes vibration on the cellular level, and all the magic happens as far as the cells talking to one another. It also helps inside the cell with your mitochondria. Everybody knows the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, so that helps the cell itself speak to the other cells when it's working properly, and we enhance that as well. This is a shows the actual wound healing kind of in detail. Talks about the hyperacute fibronectin response that we get. So it really just details how it sets up and what our technology does on a cellular level that activates these things to make the wound heal faster. We're patented. We have 15 patents, and I think 3 pending right now. So this is a very highly patented technology. And here's a horse. This is our horse. You can see the blanket. We have the fetlock wraps and the bell boots on the horse, and that's what we're going to talk about here today. I love the horse blankets, by the way. Just so you all know, I love what it does with the horse, what I've seen it do, but I love that. These are the earplugs. I don't know if anybody's heard of the earplugs that we have. In fact, we're doing a raffle. We're going to give away a free pair of earplugs today. But these earplugs have our technology inside of them, and these have been our biggest seller to date. They are very calming to the horse. I think we were talking a little bit earlier today, but sometimes your horse will spook when it walks by certain areas. People have different stories they talk about. In fact, I have a testimonial on here that I'll let you listen to. But they go in. The way the technology is set up, the ceramic itself emits directionally. So when you put these earplugs in the horse, you have to put them in with the logo facing in towards the brain, and that's how they get the most bang for their buck. So when you slide them in, you roll them in with your fingers so that you don't tear them, and then you roll them back out whenever you take them out. Easier said than done, yes. Yes, well, some horses are more difficult and don't like the earplugs, and we have this device. This is our pole device. It's called the rein ease. So this goes under the bridle, and it sits on top of the pole. And that's very calming to the horses as well. We have a lot of riders that wear this in competition. And once again, you'll see I'll have another testimonial here. One of the riders will talk about using the earplugs and the different stuff in competition. This is our horse blanket. This has a lot of ceramics in it. I don't know if you can see these little bumps. That's the ceramics. They're little. I'll show you. I'll get one out here in a little bit.
See it on the horse.
Yeah, if you come over here, these little bumps. That's where the ceramics are embedded in rubber silicone, and then we put them into the devices. And that's the same way in the fetlock wrap and in the bell boots. They're all embedded in silicone, and then we have a manufacturer here in the United States that does the devices for us. But this blanket is incredible to watch happen with the horses. I was with down in Wellington when we did the prototype, and we were just kind of putting it on to see how it fits and see where everything went properly. But we had the real device, and the girl that had the horse there had a muscular disease, and she hadn't been able to jump with the horse in years. I think she owned the horse about 7 or 8 years, and she was unable to jump with it. But we put the blanket on, and I do have the video on my phone, and we can show it after this seminar. But we watched in 5 minutes the horse just start licking and calm. It got a lazy eye, and it just literally stopped shaking and just was calm. And it happened in 5 minutes. I was kind of blown away because that was our prototype blanket. I didn't know what the reaction would be. So that was pretty cool to watch. So what that's doing, and I'm gonna go back and forth a little bit because we do human devices, like I told you in the beginning, and that's where we started. We have a bed that we use for humans, and it's a bed that you come in, that you lay on. You come in and do like a half-hour session or an hour session, whatever it might be. But it's like a memory foam mattress on the bottom, and then we have a top that we put on and a pillow, and they're all embedded with our technology. And it's a lot of technology. So we have worked with PTSD patients, people with autism, different neurological issues, and everybody to a person has walked out of there unbelievable. Some of the I'll tell you one of the PTSD stories. We were at a conference in Nashville at the osteopathic, their national conference. A gentleman was with his wife, had PTSD. He came up to our booth, and once people found out what was going on, we had a line waiting to lay in this bed. And he came up and he told us, he said, I have PTSD. He said, my calf muscles spasm all the time, and my back hurts all the time. And what's causing that is their autonomic nervous system is out of whack because of what they've been through and what they've experienced. He laid in that bed for a half an hour, and he said about 10 minutes in, he said his back just finally relaxed to where it could hit the mat. He said, I haven't had that happen in 20 years. He said, it's just been, that's what's causing the pain because he's constantly uptight. And so his calf stopped spasming in a half an hour being in that. So he came back, he brought all kind of people back to lay in the bed, but he told me when he came back, he said, I haven't had the back pain, people work on it, he goes, it's gone, in 5 minutes it's back. I'm talking to him 2 hours later, he said, my back pain's still gone. Yeah, so it's been crazy. So what is happening, what we're finding happening in the humans to their autonomic nervous system is the same thing as happening in the horses. When you put this blanket on, it's affecting their autonomic nervous system, and they're just relaxing. And we've seen it on several different conditions with horses. I know we had a horse that had some kind of condition in their chest. You could see the muscles were so tense that they couldn't. They were to a chiropractor. They tried all kind of things, and this horse just couldn't relax these muscles. It was I don't remember what it was called or what the term was, but they put this on, and within a half an hour, it just went boom, just like that. It just relaxed. It was the first time that they had been able to do that in like a year. So I love that thing. That takes care of a lot of different problems. But then you have the other devices, with the fetlock and the bell boots. We work with with laminitic horses and navicular. We've treated a lot of those. And then all the different leg problems that the horses have, obviously, for the fetlock wraps. And I believe, speaking of that, typically our blanket is $6,995. But I think, is this for the, this is for the month, right?
Yeah.
We're going to do this for the month, $3,909. So,
December 1st.
yeah. So, and the bell boots and the fetlock wraps are going from $1,500 for a pair down to $1,000. Okay? So now's a good time to get them if you're going to get them. And this is just, I talked about the bell boots and the fetlock wraps. This talks about the ceramics. I think this is what they look like. If you guys were wondering what they look like, the bumps in there, this is what's embedded in there. They emit this way, this direction. But there's a lot of science that goes into these. They're very simple to put on. I always say it's a paradox because it's so simple to put this on. There's nothing to plug in. There's no batteries. It's just the body heat from the horse is activating the ceramics to emit the photons back into the horse. So there's absolutely no power that is necessary. So I know there's a lot of people that like to use different devices, and we're good with that because there's a lot of things that work. But typically, you have to plug them in, or there's batteries, and there's a session of time that you can do these things with. You can do that and then use this. You can use this 24/7 because at the cellular level, a lot of those things create heat. And if you leave them on too long, they'll damage tissue. With our technology, it creates vibration at the cellular level, so there's no heat at the destination. So there's never you're never going to get a problem with damaging tissue. You can leave this on 24/7 without any contraindications. This just talks about the medical grade of the technology, and that's what we were talking about earlier. This is different than everything else that's out there, so we wanted to be taken seriously as a medical device. So we have gone to the nth degree to do that, as far as with the clinical trials and all the different studies that we're doing. This just talks about the different benefits of the device. You can see 68% less recovery time based on the clinical trials. You can see the rest of those. I'm not going to go into all that. This is what I just talked about a little bit, as far as it doesn't generate heat or destroy tissue. It can be worn 24/7. Self-generating ceramics require no power source. That's a huge one. I say that over and over again because that's something you really need to remember. There is no power source. You can just wear these outside in the parking lot and wear them all day long if you want to. And then, of course, the clinical trials that we validate everything with. So I want to show you a couple things. You can see this horse came in. We have a vet that we work with in State College, Pennsylvania, and she's actually a surgeon, an equine surgeon. A horse came in with conjunctivitis of the eye, and they were going to remove the eye, basically, is what they were going to do. And she said, well, hold on, because she had our technology, which the people that brought it in were not aware of course. You can see she put this on the horse, and this is something interesting, another aspect of this technology. She wrapped it here. This is where the eye is. So this technology becomes kind of systemic in your body, or in the horse's body. It doesn't have to be right over the wound or right over the area of need. If it's here, the horse is still going to get the IR, the far infrared.
Because it works through the cells, right?
Yes, because the cells are talking to each other. Yes, good point. And so you can see they also used antibiotics. It wasn't just our technology, but we also think that we enhance what the antibiotics were doing as well. But you can see, I think this was in 2 weeks they saved the eye. Yeah. So the horse did not have to have the eye removed. This is another case study. This is a horse that I think it got injured out in the pasture. They were not sure how it happened. It had this cloudy eye. And they had tried PRP, stem cell. There was all kind of things they were trying it for like a 9-month period. I think they tried to get this cloudy eye resolved. 2 weeks wearing the technology.
The amount of money you would save in vet bills.
Yeah. Yes, you could save some money in vet bills. The vets don't like to hear that sometimes, but we work well with the vets as well. And then here you can see some fetlock swelling, and this is a 24-hour period basically. You can see the difference there. This is one, once again, our vet up in State College. She took a venogram of a horse's hoof. She said, and this is before we even had product. We were just playing with the technology with the horses. And she sent us this. She said, I don't think you guys realize what you're doing here. But if you look at this, when it first came in, look at the vascularity difference. This is over 30 days and then 120 days. So we're growing new vascularity there. And there was actually an occlusion up here that resolved itself as well. That's how powerful the regenerative effects of this technology are.
So that's just from the bell boots?
No, this is what happened here. They actually glued some ceramics on the hoof, and this is before we even had the bell boots. We hadn't made them yet. But that's what the bell boots will do. And then I have some testimonials here. This is a case study. This horse had a musculoskeletal disorder. It couldn't get up. It couldn't get up. It couldn't get up. And we put the blanket on. And I think it was about a week, and the horse was able to get up again. It's a long video, so I'm not going to go through this whole thing. All right. I'm just going to see if you can hear this testimonial. No? Can we get the sound on that?
So it looks like your sound's off. Sounds off on your computer. Yeah.
On the computer? Well, I can tell you. I can tell you what he's saying. We'll go through that. This is Kyle King. He's a jumper. I think he's out in the western part of the country. But he's talking about, what he talks about in this video is he always tries the stuff on himself before he puts it on his horse. So he had a lower back issue, a sciatica issue, and he came in and he said, I put it on, I sat at my couch. He goes, like 20 minutes. He goes, I got up. He goes, I always have pain when I get up. And he said, I stood up and there was no pain. He goes, I didn't even think about it. And then it hit me like there was no pain. So he said he put it, so now he uses it on his horse, and he goes through and shows that he wears it all the time. He has the blanket, he has the earplugs. He just recently finished second in a competition up in Calgary. I think it was a $5 million show, and he got second place. He won $1.5 million wearing our earplugs in the competition. So he promotes it. He promotes the heck out of our technology because he loves it. This girl just came on and talked about our earplugs, how well they do for her. This young lady, this is a long video too, so I wouldn't play that anyway. But she actually came on TikTok, and she came on and she bought our earplugs, and she opened them. We just happened to find it online. And she opened them and was talking about it, and she said, there's no way I would buy these. She goes, I'm buying these right now. She has 70,000 followers. So she said, I'm buying these for you so I can tell you they don't work. So you don't have to go out and buy them. And then she went through 2 more videos, and the third one, she's like, I got to tell you, she said, these things are incredible. She goes, I'm telling you to go out and buy them. She said, if I wouldn't have done the first video, she said, I would keep this to myself because these things work so well. And so that's what a lot of these guys do in competition. You know, if they find something that works, they like to keep it to themselves. They don't want to tell everybody else about it. So, but anyhow, so now she's actually working with us now. She's going out to different barns down in Florida. She goes out and sells our technology for us. That's another one. I think that's it. So, yeah, like I said, with the PowerPoint presentation, I like to read them. I'd rather answer questions. Does anybody have any questions?
So I have a older mare, she's about 12, 13 years old, and she stocks up really bad, especially during winter time when we have to stalk her a lot. Would your fetlock boots and bell boots help her out with the stalking issue?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, and she can, and I wouldn't wear them out in the pasture for sure, but as long as she's in the barn or in the stable, I would wear them all the time.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
I'll start a conversation.
Okay.
How many of y'all had abscesses? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, abscesses we've seen. That same barn that I was telling you about, where they used this at first, with our prototype. We had a horse in that barn that had a bad abscess, and it was amazing watching. It just pushes that fluid out. It pushes that abscess out like, yeah, you can't. It was mind-boggling to watch what that does. But we really push fluid through the body. That's one of the other side effects of this. Basically, your body, in the same way with the horses, they're always trying to heal themselves. And what we're doing with this technology is we're enhancing that process, or we're bringing everything into what's called homeostasis. So we're making those systems in your body and the horse's body work the way they're supposed to. So that's yeah, abscesses we do wonderful with.
Because I know everybody has had their share of abscesses.
Is that right? That's a common problem.
It's a common problem.
Yeah. So yeah, we do very well with those.
What's the warranty on this?
The warranty? Well, these things they never wear out. So these ceramics themselves, you can bury them in the ground and dig them up 50 years from now, and they'll still be emitting like they are today. So these things never wear out. But if something were to happen, that there would be, the device itself, other than the ceramic, breaks down, or we'll replace that. Yeah. If there's a manufacturer defect, something to that nature, we'll definitely replace it. But the ceramics themselves, they won't wear out.
They only activate with heat.
Yes. I mean, they're activated with ambient temperature, but the more you heat them up to a certain amount, the more they emit into the body. Anything else?
Do they work on bone or just
Do they work on
muscle
bone?
tendons?
No, they work on bone as well. Yes. Anything, anything that needs repaired. We've worked with fractures, and you'll see the fracture will heal probably roughly in half the time. Yeah, we've done that on a lot of humans. We had a horse, actually we had a foal that we worked on down in Florida. The mother accidentally stepped on it and broke its leg. And they had to put some screws and rods in it, and we helped to heal that horse at record time. And we literally watched the bone growth. The vet was amazed at the bone growth. Yeah. Okay.
So if you, how long do you have to keep it on for treatment?
Well, everybody asked as far as how long do you wear it,
Yeah.
and you can wear it 24/7. You can't overexpose yourself to it. Okay. There's nothing bad that will happen from wearing it 24/7. But so I always say, wear it as often as you possibly can. And the more it's on there, it's just constantly regenerating and healing. And you got to remember, it's an invisible light wave is what it is. So as soon as you take it off, it's not like a drug where the drug's still pumping through your body and it takes some time to get out. It's at the speed of light, it's gone, So you keep it on, and it's a cumulative effect, as far as the healing process. So the more it's on, the better.
I see the pole pad. What's next to it? Is that the,
What?
is it in the box? I see the pole pad. And then is that another one or?
Down here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the pole device. That's called the Rainies. So that goes under the bridle on the pole. There's two different types here. One is covered and the other one is not.
One hooks through the bridle does
Yeah.
hold it on.
Hey, is that it?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great stuff.
Thank you for stopping.